August the 4th, 2025. Guys, you're looking at Austin, Texas, at the State House there. And notice the blue box right here on the left. It says the House is adjourned pending until Monday, today, August 4th, at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Now, they're Central Time like we are here in Mississippi. And that's an unusual time, but we've seen that even in D.C. in the last few weeks, people trying to get work done and things like that. Well, what's going on with this one, though, is very interesting, and it's going to be a breakup, possibly, of some of the Democratic Party in Texas and in D.C. over this very meeting. What's happened, just like spoiled kids that are losing on a board game or a checkerboard or whatever, and they just throw the whole board down and on the floor and scatter everything and run off. Well, the Democrats in Texas love to do that. They did it back in 2021, and got away with it. They were trying to have legislature there. The Democrats didn't like how it was going to go with the Republican majority, so they split town and failed to do their job. Now, what's happening with this is they're doing a 5-district redistricting there in Texas. And one of the people that are really mad is what's Jasmine Crockett that you see in D.C. in the meetings there. But she has a district here, and one of those 5 districts are hers, so she's really screaming out loud. But all the Democrats are all over the nation over this, because not only will it affect Texas, but it will affect the nation in voting. And so what they did, they got in touch with that idiot in Illinois, Pritchard, is that his name? Libtarded sanctuary city fool. Just got to say it like it is, guys. They hate the country, or either they're so stupid they don't know better. Maybe a combination of both. But anyway, all the Texas Democrats that were going to be in this committee, and it was, I think, maybe 15 people or something that appointed to the committee, they left and flew to Illinois to hang out with Pfizer, whatever his name is. I can't stand to look at him. So he welcomed them and welcomed them in. Now, he did go on the news and say, well, now, wait a minute, before anybody fusses, I'm not paying for their flight, not paying for their rooms or anything like that, you know. But what they're doing is getting paid to skip work. And the reason this is, if I think it's going to go live at 3 p.m. Central, and if I can get the link, which I think I can't say for 100%, we're going to go live with it at 3 p.m. too. And again, they were on TV or on the web last week trying to get these bills set up. They're kind of like in the situation where D.C. is now. It's not just this one bill with a 5-zone redistricting. It's part of their 89th legislature, and there's other things they need to do. Well, again, the Democratic Party, guys, has tried to ruin the nation, and they've done a pretty good job at it, but they definitely ruined themselves. They did an excellent job at that, and that part of the war is over. And the country really has to ask itself a question. Our politicians, our Republican politicians that we elected, have to ask this question to everyone in front of the American people. Who is the greatest terrorist inside our borders? They talk about domestic terrorism and all that. It's the Democrats. It's obvious. Look at Antifa. And they're spreading through Europe. Right now, guys, England is having mass protest over immigration, larger than anything they've seen. I'm talking about thousands holding flags walking through the streets. And the world's kind of coming to that. But the difference between us and the UK is we have a right to defend ourselves. And in the UK, it's not just immigration that's pushing these final buttons. It's the fact that they are coming down on people with a thought crime law. Or if you say anything against their party, if you say anything against Islam or anything like that, you're going to jail. And they've got a whole police section that just watches the internet for people committing hate crimes. And most of the people are English or British citizens. Scotland's getting involved, guys, and people from Scotland are coming down to get involved in the protests there in England because of the crap they've been going through. And most of you are very well aware of it. But what we're looking at here again is Abbott has a little more power. The Republicans are a little bolder than they were, even though I think Texas did an excellent job under the Biden administration of trying to seal the borders in a direct headwind. But now let's see what Abbott is saying about this. And by the way, I was born in Austin, Texas, dear to my heart. It's changed quite a bit. It's pretty much ruined itself like some of the big cities. But there's always a chance for a comeback. But we really have to, again, go to that discussion about what are we going to do with the Democrats. Just what they need to do is the ones that have committed crimes, lock them up and dissolve that party. Add an independent party to the other side of the aisle if you need that. You know, and I'm all for dual parties because you don't want one party to, if everyone joins one party, it's just going to be the same thing, except you're going to have Democrats claiming to be Republicans, and which we already have a lot of that, right? They're called rhinos. But something's got to be done about this because they're nothing but protests, anti-government, anti-vote, anti-you and me, pro-immigrant. And all of this, they're not really pro-immigrant for the immigrants that out there. They're pro-destroying the nation here so they can rebuild it in their image. But something's got to be done about that. And I'm not talking about killing anybody or a revolution. I'm just saying an honest discussion with what is causing the trouble. And look at the last 4 years. And you could go way back past that, guys. But anyway, Governor Abbott says he will remove from office Democrat lawmakers who fled Texas to block the GOP congressional redistricting. And they've got until 3 p.m. this afternoon, just like that meeting is set for, the way we started this video out. They have until 3 p.m. this afternoon to return from Illinois, or we'll read what could be the consequences. They all need to be fired. That entire party needs to be disassembled because it is corrupt to the core, evil to the core, and anti-American. Says Abbott has threatened to remove from office Democratic lawmakers who fled to Illinois to block GOP congressional redistricting. Now, again, that Crockett girl is one of these. And the idiot they call Lou, that is a Democrat there, he's kind of in charge of the Democratic section that's supposed to be there. Anyway, the Texas Democrats fled the state to block the Republicans in the legislature from holding a special session and to block this redistricting vote on Sunday. It had been called back yesterday. They got out of town. The Texas Democrats reportedly fled to Illinois to break quorum to block the Texas House from holding a vote in a special session. The new congressional map would add 5 GOP House seats. And they're pulling the race card on it pretty much. But those 5 different districts, guys, are heavily Latino, by the way. So I don't know how that is playing into the race card, but they are. It says, again, the Democrats pulled a similar stunt back in 2021. This time, Abbott is not messing around. Democrats hatched a deliberate plan not to show up for work for the specific purpose of abdicating the duties of their office and thwarting the chamber's business. That amounts to an abandonment or forfeiture of an elected state office, Abbott said. Now, this morning, Abbott has released the following statement outlining the legal consequences that House Democrat members face for breaking this quorum, including the potential loss of their seats and felony violations. This letter is also being sent directly to the individual members who have fled Texas. So, Illinois, you're getting some mail. The governor's full statement is as follows. Real Texans do not run from a fight. I'll amen to that. But that's exactly what most of the Texas House Democrats just did, again, by the way. Rather than doing their job and voting on urgent legislation affecting the lives of all Texans, they have fled Texas to deprive the House of the quorum necessary to meet and conduct business. Again, spoiled children throwing the toys or tearing the toys up and running home. These absences are not merely unintended and unavoidable interruptions in public service like a sudden illness or family emergency. Instead, these absences were premeditated for an illegitimate purpose, what one representative called breaking quorum. Another previously signaled that Democrats would have to go by an extreme measure of a quorum break to stop these bills from happening. And again, they knew they had lost the game. Instead of being there representing the people, they called tail out of town. And now I hope Pfizer realizes that he just doubled the idiots in his little local group there. Anyway, he will before long if he hasn't already. But they really love each other. It's like demons piling together, like in the book of Enoch. They had to all agree to do the dirty deed so that not one of them just one of them would be accused of it. They would all be guilty. And they agreed to that. And Enoch let them know. There's a much deeper story to Enoch than most people realize. But that's a different story for now. Anyway, this quorum break, they're saying it did it on purpose. They're abdicating their duties and they're thwarting the chamber's business. And these are technical terms to get their butts kicked out and possibly locked up. He said that amounts to abandonment or forfeiture of an elected state office. That's the key sentence. They could leave a lot of all of this out after that first paragraph, but this is what Abbott had to say, so I want to kind of go through it. But when the governor calls a special session, our Constitution provides that the legislature shall meet. Texas Constitution, Article 3:5, emphasis added, it's not optional, it's a duty. And by the way, did you see what a lot of you guys watched live as we saw Judge Jeanine Pirro get nominated and voted in? And then they started rapidly calling a few more votes up for different people that Trump had nominated. Then there was a rule that they didn't really discuss it there, but I saw where they had mentioned it later, that if everyone's gone for 10 days from D.C., then Trump can start appointing people and putting them to work. Now, it would be a temporary appointment, if I'm not mistaken, but they would be in place and starting to do the job. But we were all concerned about Thune, whatever his name is, Thune. He's kind of like the speaker there. Not Mike Johnson, but he was running a lot of the show in the votes that we were seeing. But he kind of did a sneaky trick on Trump, and Trump's not happy with it. So what he did, if you remember, the last thing he said, for you guys that were watching it, he jumped up after they got Jeanine in and then 4 or 5 other appointees, district attorney down in Florida and a couple others. But he jumped up and said, okay, we're gonna meet Tuesday and we're gonna meet Friday. And the week we're starting now, and then the next week would cover the other 10 days, and we're gonna meet Tuesday and Friday and go all the way through the August session of what's supposed to be their break. And that would never give Trump the 10 days straight through that he needed. And a lot of people didn't like Thune to start with. I didn't know him that well, but from what I'd read about him, I didn't like him either. But we never can get a good leader in that part. And I think that's on purpose, because you need a head rhino, right? But he jumped in there again and shut down Trump's 10-day appointment, that span of time when there's no one in D.C. So that ended that for Trump. So when they come back, I guess they'll go back to the same thing we saw before. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that all is not cool in Washington either. Now, going back to the article, he's saying it's not optional that you be here for this meeting. It's a duty. The absconded Democratic House members were elected to meet and vote on legislation, not to prevent votes that may not go their way. Every session, legislators on both sides of the aisle find themselves on the losing side of this vote. And every session, most of those legislators find a way to disagree agreeably and behave like adults rather than going AWOL. He said this truancy ends now. The derelict Democratic House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes today at 3 p.m. Again, I hope we can be there live, Monday, August the 4th. For any member who fails to do so, I will invoke Texas Attorney General Opinion Number KP 0382, that's Paxton, I think, to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. This needs to be done nationwide, and to include rhinos. Okay? We got too many of them going around. And really, it was a Democratic ploy years ago, and the Republicans played the game too straight, the real Republicans. But the rhinos are Democratic plants, pre-planned. But the Republicans that love our country, they just don't want to stoop that low and create a rhino Democrat. Or a demo, that would be a demo, huh? Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? If you're not going to, and I'm talking to, again, Republican leaders in D.C., if you don't want to show up for work, get the hell out of here. Okay? Move on. But somebody that needs a job, get it and take it probably for a lot cheaper without all the lobbying money attached to it. Just saying. And it could be up, guys, to a district court there to determine if these legislators had forfeited their office due to the abandonment and can remove the legislator from the office. So it's going to depend on, really, probably come down to the district courts there in that area. But that empowers Abbott to swiftly fill vacancies under Article 3, Section 13 of the Texas Constitution. Now, Abbott continues, he says, in addition to abandoning their offices, and my Huskies agree, these legislators may have also committed felonies. Many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines they will incur under House rules. Any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties or for purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. All governors, pay attention. The same could be true for any other person who offers, confers, or agrees to confer such funds to the fleeing Democrat. So, Governor Pritzker, are you involved? Are you helping? Or any other people that are like Soros? Are you sending them money to protest like you do the rest of the planet? By the way, I heard that since USAIDs has gone down, of course, BBC and PBS are going out, but that Soros funding is in trouble, guys. Can't remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, they may be financially in trouble. What does that say? It says that we were financing Soros the whole damn time. Anyway, it says any Democrat, again, they can be charged, and anybody helping them can be charged. It says, it seems to me, this is Abbott, that the only way some of the fleeing Democrats can avoid bribery charges is to not break quorum. It seems that would eliminate any potential quid pro quo connected to any payment they receive to deny a quorum and skip a vote. Have they already done it? But now so 3 o'clock is going to be like D-Day. And no wonder how many planes are coming out of Chicago right now. But, they are loyal until they're about to lose their job, and then they may turn. But this really needs to be addressed, because just because you're losing the game, be a good sport at least. They weren't good sports when they were winning and keeping the borders open in Texas and doing everything they could to poison every college there. And it was very good schools at one time. I'm talking about the colleges. And they've run it every way they could, took the money from the taxpayers and give it to the illegal immigrants. So I'm doing this in the hope that the tide is starting to turn. I know a lot of people are tired of politics, but guys, at this day and time, they're controlling everything you're doing now, and especially coming up in the future. Whether it's your right to go to church, or your right to privacy, your right to private banking, all of that's laid out right here. Some people will say, I just don't have time for it. That's fine, but that's why we have people that do have time. And we're going to pay attention, so just watch the channel. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it very much. I've got a couple other things I'd like to talk about this afternoon. If I get time, I'll be back up. But again, it's a heads up. Be safe.